This is for all the marbles here. This is no fooling around. It has to stop now, or we don't get a second chance.
Hello everyone, welcome to Rich's Gun Shop. I'm Lee Richardson, and we have Mary Starrett with us here today. She is currently a commissioner for Yamhill County. And Mary, I've noticed that there are 16 anti-gun bills right now. But can you share with us how this involves you and your constituents and what you guys are doing or what you can do to help defend the rights in your county?
So your county board of commissioners is the go-to place to say, listen, I'm concerned about these 16 bills. These are basically bills that are aimed at disarmament. I'm a law-abiding citizen. What can you do to uphold your oath to defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Oregon, which every county commissioner takes? So you will go to each individual commissioner, and you will write them an email, and you will say, I am strongly supportive of my rights. These are bills that are coming out of the legislature, and I want you to go to bat for me. And I am asking you to go on record saying that you will protect my rights, that you will not agree to fund any kind of enforcement of these unconstitutional laws. And that will open up a conversation for the commissioner to say to their sheriff, listen, as an elected official, you are really tasked with defending these rights as well. But we as a board who are in charge of the budget are not going to allocate money that's going to go to undermine the rights of our constituents.
Fantastic. So the other thing that I understand is there's 3 of you on the Yamhill County Board and don't all share the same beliefs about our Second Amendment. So how do you deal with that?
Well, I think it's important for us to get them on record. In other words, nobody who is elected wants to have an onslaught of public opinion and criticism for a basic fundamental constitutional right. So if you say to them, these are the reasons why I'm concerned, it might be enough for them to say, you know what, this makes sense. I've got a law-abiding constituent who's concerned about this bill, and this bill. Because let's face it, the majority of county commissioners are not paying attention to what goes on in the legislature in regards to Second Amendment rights. They're paying attention to things like how does it impact counties. They don't see the constituents are really the ones they need to be watching out for.
Changing gears a little bit, now looking through these gun bills on a statewide level, like SB 501 is really a scary bill that has a lot of really bad things in it that will take away our freedoms. How do you feel about this bill, and do you feel that this has a chance of making it?
Well, when you talk about bill numbers, the average person is not following bill numbers like we're following bill numbers. But what I will say about this particular bill and about a majority of the bills, there are a few that are not quite so egregious. But what I have to say in regards to these bills overall is this is not just a little bit of a tight squeeze. This is out and out disarmament. And we've heard over and over again, the left, the Democrats, the anti-gunners, they are not out to take your guns. What they're out to do is just have common sense gun control. But remember one thing, we don't hear the same thing when someone takes a car and runs over a pedestrian or drives under the influence. We don't hear calls for restricting your right to drive or taking your car away when someone else makes a bad decision using a car. What we're seeing now is every single time there is a bad actor who acts violently with a gun, that somehow now I have to pay the price as a law-abiding citizen by giving up my guns. Let there be no mistake about it. These bills are game changers. And I think people, since all politics is emotion, everyone needs to know that these bills will change your life if you are, for instance, a concealed handgun license holder, if you are a single mom living in a rural area where there's no cell phone coverage. I think about myself. This is how I deal with these bills. How will this impact me? When I live in a rural area where there's no cell phone coverage and I'm going to the airport to pick my husband up at midnight, I will not be able to carry my concealed handgun to the airport to drive up, have him jump in the car and drive away. I will not be able to pull up in front of a school to pick up my grandchildren. if I stay in the car. All of these things are important. I will have to be really careful about whether or not the gun I use for self-defense in the middle of the night on my nightstand, does it have a trigger lock? Has it been rendered completely useless? Are guns that I own now becoming, they're unlawful, they're illegal, and I have to have a permit to buy a gun. I have to have a limit on the number of rounds of ammunition I can purchase every week. There is no other way to describe these bills as it is flat out disarmament. And we've let the line in the sand be crossed so many times that right now, what we need to say is, at whatever level we can, city, county, state, we need to say, this is not something that's going to work in any capacity.
We need to let everybody know about these bills. I would highly recommend that if you're not aware of these bills, then go to the Oregon Firearms Federation's website and you can find all 16 of these anti-gun bills and be able to read through them to see what they're all about and how they're armed and designed to take away your rights. Mary, if you work with an array of politicians frequently, I'm sure, and what would you have to say, one statement to statewide politicians, if you wanted to give them one statement about what's going on here?
What I would say is that this is an absolute, this is a watershed moment where they can either defend the basic rights, constitutional rights, God-given rights, they weren't given to us by government, of their constituents in the First Amendment, Second Amendment, all the way through, or they can say, no, we're going to go on a motion, we're going to do a feel-good, I'm going to pass this bill, and somehow it's going to make sure that the gang members are free to do what they want to do violently, but it's the law-abiding citizens who are going to turn in their guns or comply with these laws. But what I will say real quickly is I'm at a lot of functions with Governor Kate Brown. We go to a lot of functions, and she's a very personable woman. She's a very diminutive woman. She's a small woman, but she gets to go with armed bodyguards everywhere she goes. At every function I'm at, she is there with bodyguards. She has bodyguards standing outside her house all through the night, and they're armed. So she has armed men and women protecting her. I don't have that. My women friends and my men friends don't have that. We're on our own. And yet we have a governor and a legislature who would then disarm us, knowing that the bad guys are not going to comply with these laws, but that we then become felons if we don't. So this is for all the marbles here. This is no fooling around. It has to stop now, or we don't get a second chance.
All right, Mary, thank you so much. We could go on all day, folks, talking about the issues. But I want to let all of you know, you guys are awesome. The support that we understand is happening, and you reaching out to the politicians and fighting this battle is fantastic. And we would say, please keep it up. And we look forward to sharing some more information with you as we go along. Thank you so much, and Mary, thank you.
Thank you, Lee.